Can you put that little soft pillow behind me, please?
Welcome to our 1-year anniversary show. Listen, make sure you share, invite somebody as we celebrate 1 year as Wake Up Well.
But if there's an echo coming in,
Hello, darling, and welcome to Wake Up Well. I am your host, Portia Scott. I'm so excited that you came to join and celebrate with us on our 1-year anniversary. You guys know how we do it all the time. I want to know where it is you're tuning in from, and also let us know what you are grateful for. What are you grateful for? All right. So you guys, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for joining. Hello. So, listen, you all know that I am not by myself. I always have our mental health hygienist, Marty.
Portia, we are finally live. We're live in a couple different settings.
Number one, that part.
We are finally face to face. And if you guys have not known, we have been doing this show for a year, and this is our first time doing it live together and our first time meeting.
Absolutely. So Marty and I met Thursday.
Yes, for the very first time.
But I'm telling you, it felt like I've known you all my life.
Right. It was so good. And it's I'm excited to be here, Portia. You are so amazing. And since we're jumping quick, I am so grateful to know you. I am so grateful for this opportunity. I'm so grateful for what you have allowed me to pour into your audience and join this together. And during a time that not just our audience needed it, but when I needed it the most as well, where you and John Henry were there, and Daryl, and just helped become who I am today. So I cannot thank you enough. And this means more than you and John will ever know. So I'm just excited. Thank you.
Marty, I'm so excited when we decided to do this show. COVID-19, we were in the middle of COVID-19.
Right.
And we were getting so many different opinions and information coming everywhere, from everywhere, about what we should and what we shouldn't do, and mental health. And I asked Doc to come on, and Doc helped us out and just ran with it every single Sunday, giving us our COVID-19 update from a medical professional standpoint. And then you came in and gave us the mental health aspect of it. And who would have known that after everything that we would still be going, right? Because at one point we pivoted because I felt like, okay, we've done COVID-19 so many times. But we decided to pivot. And so I am so grateful. And I'm also grateful for the people that listen each and every week. I want to call a couple of people out.
Call them out.
Hello, Trish. Thank you so much for joining, darling. Lisa is on.
Lisa!
Thank you so much for joining. Lisa has been a guest. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Vanessa, thank you so much for joining, darling. Val, thank you so much for joining. Rena, thank you so much for joining, darling.
Come on.
So we are so excited to have you guys. We want to jump right into this show.
Yes.
Marty, I want to make sure that they're telling us, what are you guys grateful for? What are you grateful for?
Yes.
I know we're grateful for having a show for a whole year.
Yes.
And the one thing I wanted to really celebrate was the fact that sometimes people don't last 5 minutes,
Right.
5 weeks,
Right.
or 5 days. And so
But
to
that
go
is so
a
true.
whole year, two people who didn't know each other,
Right. On
decide
opposite ends of the country.
opposite ends of the country, and we
Right.
decided to keep it going. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
I'm overwhelmed actually.
So am I. So am I. And what we've come to, we're not just friends anymore. We're family. And I know that COVID has been difficult for a lot of people. But one of the blessed things that I know that has come out of this is definitely being a part of your family. You're being a part of my family. We're doing these things and sharing our viewers and our Facebook families and YouTube families. And now they're just being a part of who we are. I'm just so grateful for that, because no matter what goes on in life, I think you taught me how to be resilient in everything. Even when I had COVID myself, and you were like, "You don't look too good." And I was trying to fake it, and I'm like, "Oh God," but you were there. And really, because I knew I had people supporting me, that made all the difference in the world. It did. So thank you.
You know, it's so funny because I want to go to the part about the fact that you had COVID. I
Yes.
remember when we started this show, and I remember thinking to myself, it would be crazy if one of us actually got it, right? Like, because we did the show, we said
Right.
everything about it. We're going to talk a little bit about that particular show and all of
Yes.
that stuff. But I remember being concerned.
Yeah.
I knew you were sick. I could tell, and I just felt in my heart like this wasn't. And we prayed, and I
You guys
believe God
did.
that you didn't have COVID. But I am so grateful that one of the things that you said on that show was that had it not been for you being on the show and taking your medicine and taking your supplements and doing what you needed to
Yes.
do, that it helped you navigate that time.
It really did, because I didn't know until even when I was going through, not only did I have to rely on my mental health that I tell other people, but I knew I had great qualified people like Doc when he was on there, you. And so I was able to go back to those things and even share those things with my own family, because it wasn't just me who got sick. My mother got sick, my son got sick, my brother got sick, my business partner, Tricia, she got sick. So we all were sick, and then we all claimed those things that definitely, and were reminded of those things that Doc told us. And so those things helped push us through. And I kept having to remind myself, this is temporary, this is temporary, this is not the end. Take my zinc, take my vitamin D, take my vitamin C, make sure I get up and exercise, drink, all those things. And that helped me through it. So you helped me through this, Doc helped me through this when I wanted. So I understand what people were feeling and going through, because I was going through it myself.
Yeah, I love it. We have a couple people that are on that are saying what they're grateful for. Godfrey says he is grateful for family.
Yes.
Who else? Elizabeth says she's grateful for God's provision.
Yes.
Rosetta said, I'm grateful for my family. And so as
Right.
we just go and see that people are so, so grateful, and we are so grateful
Mhm.
for this audience, we would not have this show if it was not for you.
Right.
And how important it is. Every time you show up, we don't take it for granted.
Right.
Every time you log on, every time you engage, we don't take it for granted.
Yes.
And because of that, there were a couple people that we wanted to bring on to kind of
Hey, Pam.
Hi, Pam. Hello, darling.
Yes. Cherie.
A couple of people that we
Yes.
wanted to bring on, they wanted to have some words.
Wow.
And so the first person that we're going to bring on is Paula.
Hi,
Yes.
family.
Happy
Got my son.
Paula, you are so sweet. Oh my goodness. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Paula.
Aw.
So, Paula, you have been listening since the first show.
Day one.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
Day one. So let us know, why do you keep logging on? Why do you keep coming on? Why do you keep
Let me
showing
just tell you,
up?
I'm jealous because I should be in Atlanta, but I'm in Connecticut, but that's okay. Next time. I just feel like last year was just such a challenging year for everyone, especially on Sundays. We weren't able to worship in our regular churches, and we
Mhm.
weren't able to go out to restaurants and gather and go to parties and different functions. But there was one thing that remained faithful, and that was that you three were going to be on Sunday nights, 7 o'clock. And that just became a shining light. I was encouraged, I was inspired. There were times when we cried and there were times when we laughed. And it's just such an honor and a privilege to be here tonight to say happy 1 year anniversary.
Paula, thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you. So Paula was saying, I'm just going to say it again because my eyes just begin to water. She said
Right.
that when church was, we weren't going in.
Right.
We didn't have this sense of normalcy, but the one thing she could count on was at
Wow.
7 p.m. on Sundays,
Wow.
we would show up. This is why it's so important
Yeah.
that when God calls you to do something, when you have, y'all know, we run a
We have a professional
show.
show.
It would not be wake up well if he didn't come in.
Right.
But Paula was saying that
Yeah.
that was the one thing that was
Wow.
continuous. And that's why it's so important. And some days it was hard to show up, Paula.
Right.
But we thought about people
Right.
like you. We thought about the people that keep showing up. Also, my
Yes.
baby, Miracle Scott. Miracle, hello,
Miracle.
darling. Thank you so much for watching. I saw you in there.
Yes.
I love her so much. And so, Paula, thank you so much. I cannot tell people, we call you the connector.
That's right.
Oh.
She has connected so many people to
She
me.
has connected so
Wow.
many people to me. I'm telling you, she has been a force, even in
Yes.
Portia Scott Media.
Yes.
And
We
so,
love
Paula,
her.
I am so grateful for you. We love you. Thank you so very much. And there's another person that showed up
Yes.
every Sunday, and she's very special to me. I know her from Boston, and she is in your neck of the woods, Nicole Toombs.
Yes.
Nicole!
Hello, Nicole.
Hello, I love you all. I am so sorry I am prepared and dressed fabulous like you both are looking wonderful, but I am just coming from the beach. But I
Come
took
on,
that
girl, coming from the
opportunity
beach.
to say congratulations. Okay, Malibu, to be specific. You know how we do, Portia. Can't wait to ride down the coast with you, my sister. And Marty, we have to meet. You have to meet my husband. We have to connect. We have to make this connection. But I could not miss the opportunity to wish you all a happy 1 year anniversary. And I just want to say what a blessing this has been for me personally through all that we went through this last year with the COVID. And I personally wouldn't have trusted anyone else with the information in regards to COVID. I felt comfortable that Doc looked like us. So I was like, okay, and the fact that the Scotts, who I love dearly, honored and respect him, I felt like this was good. So thank you all for the information. And Marty, you already know. Like, I feel like we're family. I don't even know you, but I feel like we're family. I'll be taking all your little tidbits for the mental health. That's why I'm coming from the beach. Hello. Self-care.
Self-care is the beach.
Congratulations,
Yes.
guys. We love you so
I
much.
love some self-care.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Nicole. That
Yes.
is
Thank you,
so,
Nicole.
so very much. I'm
Bless
telling
you.
you guys, this is like just overwhelming.
Yes.
One of the things that the reason why we brought Doc in is
Mhm.
because we wanted to make sure that there was a physician as
Mhm.
well as a mental health professional that looked like us. We all
Yes.
know that COVID-19 just ravenously raged through the Black
Yes.
and brown communities at an unprecedented number. And so it felt like so much of the information was coming outside of our communities. And it
Right.
was so very important that we had that information coming from a physician,
Mhm.
coming from a mental health professional in our community. So, Nicole, thank you so much for that, because that
Thank you,
really just
Nicole.
proved that what my hypothesis was, that it was right. and that's why people showed up and trusted the show so much. So listen, while I'm going ahead and saying that, y'all know I'm going to go ahead and plug this because you know your girl is going to be at Essence, right?
Yes.
So what I need somebody to do is I need somebody to tag at Essence into this live stream.
That's right.
I need somebody to tag
That's
at
right.
CNN into this live stream.
Yes.
Why? Because we want to make sure that they know that we are producing this high
quality.
amazing
That's right.
this professional show. And so next year when the Webby Awards come around, we are going to be
there. We are going to be there.
We are going to be
Yes.
there. Yes.
Yes.
Thank
Come
you so
on,
much,
CNN.
Sherry. Hello,
Yes.
darling. Yes.
Portia, they're not even ready for what we're about to do on year 2.
They are not ready.
We can't even tell you what we're doing on year 2
Listen,
because
we got to plan year 2 now.
yes.
Because it's going to be so incredible.
Yes.
So you guys, I'm super excited. I'm going to let you introduce the next person.
Yes. Our next person that has been with us, she is a member of our executive team with Mental Health Matters with Marty and Marcel Consulting. She's just been a very good, dear friend and family member to us as well. But she has definitely joined the Portia Scott Media family and doing so much and promoting none other than Dr. Trisha Cookies.
Happy first anniversary.
Thank you, Trisha.
So yeah, you guys, this show has brought so much stability, I think I'll use. And in a time where even being in the mental health field, having that piece added to the medical field even gave you a whole rounded picture of what everybody was experiencing. I looked forward every Sunday. I looked forward to being able to have a place to ask all my questions, all my, anxiety-filled questions about this huge virus. And I asked plenty of questions. Just like Marty said, just when we got sick, all of those answers just started repeating. And it gave us a place just to listen, see. So you guys have brought so much.
Yeah.
I love that, Trisha. She really said the same thing that you said, Marty, is that because she had listened to the show,
Right.
that it gave them so much information.
Right.
And so she, being able to ask the questions, that's the one thing that we were like, we didn't want the engagement just so we could talk to people.
Exactly.
But we wanted to make sure that you had a safe place to ask your questions. Marty, so many times on the show, as I was going back over so many of the shows, I remember almost in tears. I remember asking some of the questions that I put into our questionnaire that I sent was for me.
Yes.
And so that's why I wanted to give people the opportunity to ask these questions in a safe environment.
Most
but
definitely.
Trish, I wanted to say thank you so much. So Trish sent
You're
us,
welcome.
cupcakes
And
she
flowers.
sent us flowers. And then also I cannot miss this. My sisters, they sent me flowers to say congratulations.
Yes.
I love you guys so much. Thank you so much.
Paula
Trish,
and her signs.
Paula and her son, Nicole showing up,
Yes.
coming from the beach, girl. Listen.
Right. Self-care.
We appreciate it.
Each
So
and
you
every one
guys,
of you.
thank you so very much. I think it's important that as we talk about our 1-year anniversary, we have somebody that is always on the show. He is our resident co-host, and he's going to come up. We're going to talk about a couple of the shows. We're going to get an opportunity to talk about how much we love you guys.
Yes.
And then if you guys have questions in the comments, put your questions about the show, about any of the shows that we did. We are taking questions and your comments as well. So I want to welcome our co-host, my husband, John Henry Scott.
Come on. Pull up a chair.
Thank you. Are you gonna be professional today?
I am attempting to be professional. Thank you, everybody, for having me. Thank you.
But we could not do a lot of what we do without you, Pastor Scott, and I'm calling you pastor right now. I'm putting your pastoral role because you also offered so much spiritual advice to us during those times as well, which is so needed because I believe in this blend of physical, spiritual, and mental. because because we are three part beings as well.
Yeah.
That and a lot of times when either of those gets off sync, then we're off sync. But you gave us a great balance in that as well, which we definitely needed. So thank you, and we always appreciate you when you dropped in. Y'all don't see the behind the scenes of none other than John Henry Scott. But I appreciate you so much and just all that you've done in my life and what you're continuing to do. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Is my mic on? My mic ain't on. Real show, folks. Give me a second.
Okay, so.
This is live.
We're gonna start doing
Here
some
we go.
behind the
Here we
scenes.
go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
This
Here we
mic
go.
sounds nice.
Here we go. Well,
Your
thank
mic
you.
too.
Let me say this. I want to congratulate both of you very much for the value that you have added not only to my life, but I'm sure to our audience and to every person that have been touched through every share, through every word of mouth, through every little nugget, right, that came over you guys had to easily do over 50 different shows, not to mention the
Right.
daily shows and you coming on Marty's show and then Marty
Right.
coming on your show. So the plethora of topics that were just offered and put out there to the world, we're better because of it. So congratulations to you too. And you already know why I stand, girl. You already know. You already know. So congratulations, baby.
I promise y'all, y'all like the couple of the year. And in the midst of all that, you guys renewed your vows.
We did. We
Yes,
did.
and it was epic because you didn't know.
I did not
I
know.
knew, but you didn't know.
Clearly, everybody knew,
Right.
but I didn't. So that was very special. Thank you.
Thank you for being you, my love.
Thank you.
I love it. So can I jump in here real quick?
Of course.
I want to drive because you all know I don't have a social media and I don't really have a show. So I'm always trying to jump in and let people know that I exist. So I'm getting ready to drive for just a few minutes. And I'm going to turn the tables and I want to interview you two. Right? Let's have a history lesson. Let's have a history lesson and let's just have a pretty fun time. This is a celebration and it's really something that we should be celebrating. But it is also very, very, very important that we take a time to take a slightly deeper reflection in terms of what you have done. So
Okay.
here's my first thing. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a guest again. I really do appreciate that. And you all have done so many shows with various topics. You started out at the very beginning really talking about the intent was to provide the audience with trusted information around the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right.
You did that, and I believe you did it in excellence. Very easily could rival a lot of the updates that was coming through the mainstream media. However, what was so unique was how it was tailored to your audience and allowed your audience the opportunity to ask questions. So thank you for that. Congratulations on that. But you also did various other topics aside from that. What I'm asking you all is, what are some of the most meaningful shows that you did? Some of the most meaningful. If you can think of one or two, we'll start with you, baby, and then we'll go to you, Marty. Of the shows you've done over the last year, what are some of the most meaningful ones? And then for the audience, I want you guys to think back. Those of you guys that have caught some of them, drop them in the comments as well. Go ahead, baby, you first.
Yeah, I think one of the most meaningful shows that we did, I believe it was in May. It was in May, and it was right after the George Floyd.
Yes.
And one of the things that we wanted to do, because we've done some separate shows
Right.
that were like special shows,
Exactly.
but this one, we took the George Floyd, everything that happened there, and we were able to talk about COVID, and we were able to talk about mental health. And I
Yes.
think that for me, that show was so important because we were honest in that show. We let our audience be honest in that show
Right.
about how they were feeling, the trauma that they
Yes.
felt, not having the words, we got comments about people not wanting to show up for work, mad, upset. And that was one of the most impactful shows, I think, for me. And it was important because when Doc would give the information, right, he would always give us this information. And we knew he was a Black doctor. But I remember the look on his face when he talked about George Floyd, and
Yes.
when he talked about how COVID just was hitting the Black and brown communities, and his love for Black communities and wanting to see us thrive. That for me had to be one of the greatest shows. And I think you being able to help us navigate that. I didn't want to get on that week.
Right.
That week
Right.
I was like, let's
It was a
take a
difficult
break.
week.
Mhm.
It was, and that's what I think a lot of people don't realize too. There are some weeks that we have struggled ourselves
Yeah.
because the topics were so personal. And that was the episode I was going to share as well, because it was personal. And that week I think I had, so many Black men that had called me. And that was the week I had probably more Black men calling for therapy.
Mhm.
And to see Black men coming, and we were still doing Zoom. We're still doing Zoom. And to see Black men cry on Zoom. And these are not typical, these were typical Black men that you say who don't cry and just says, I just can't take it anymore. And then for us to come along and talk about that, it for me, it meant so much. And just to have that platform to share, and that I could share it with you and Doc, and knowing that, John Henry, you were in the background too, close by. And that I did not have to put on a face.
Mhm.
I didn't have to put on the mask,
Mhm.
but I could be vulnerable and share even my own hurts and what we all were going through. That's for me what this show is all about.
Yeah, that's great. Excellent choices. I would have chosen that, but I would have also chosen, another one. I'll tell you after this right here. Well, thinking about that, one of the things that I really acknowledge, one of the things that I believe that everyone should consider when it comes to engagement, when it comes to connecting with people, is you've got to stimulate both the head and the heart.
Yes.
And you all have done that flawlessly and with brilliance and with compassion and with empathy and with care. So kudos
Thank
and
you.
applause to
Thank
you.
you.
Right. So thank you for that. Here's my next question. My next question is, if you look at which ones you thought are most meaningful, my question to you, Marty, and also to you, baby, is which ones would you redo? If you look back at the show and you say, throw the whole show away, which ones or one, you gotta give me one, which one would you redo? Where you walk there and be like, y'all, we did the best we could.
I think I threw it out my mind. I got to think about that. What were you going to say?
Which one would you redo?
I know which one of my personal show I want to throw out. But
Honestly, I think for me, I'm so proud of this show.
I want you to be proud, but I
Okay,
want
I'ma
you to
tell you.
answer the
I
question.
was
wait a minute.
okay.
Which one would you redo? Maybe it wasn't trash, but you walked away
Right.
thinking, you know what, I could have gave a little bit
We
more.
could have gave
I
a
could
little
have
bit more.
done this a little bit better. Which one would you redo? Would you remix? Let's call it remix.
The remix.
Oh, you know which one I would do?
Remix.
The one I would remix was we had some guests on the show, and what I would have done different was I would have had an introductory call first.
Okay.
Because what I learned, and I learned this on my podcast, is I always have an introductory call if I don't know that person, if I can't go on YouTube
Right,
and find
right.
out anything from them. Because as the host, it is it's my responsibility to be able to tell a story in a way that highlights who they are.
Right.
And I believe that I fell short on this one episode. Granted, we had some internet issues. And so if I would have had that introductory show, I would have been able to talk about the interview and the internet and everything else. So the John and, oh my God, sorry. Listen, I'm a mom first. Listen, hello. Oh my God, my baby is watching. Listen, you know you're doing good when your 7-year-old say, I'm gonna go watch her show. Come on, somebody. But that would have been the show that I would have remixed because I felt like I probably didn't do the best job in telling
Mhm.
the story in a way that highlighted them.
Oh, that's good. Very gracious of you. You're so decent and
I
kind.
try.
Lovely. Marty, how about you? Which one would you remix?
I'm still trying to think, when I'm thinking of it, there are some that I could have done some deeper research on, and maybe felt like, especially when we're dealing with trauma now. I think what I would have done differently is, especially during vicarious trauma, some of that trauma that we're continuing to go through, especially during those protesting times, separated my own emotions out of it a lot better, not a little bit better, a lot better. And giving us a lot more ways of finding hope in the midst of all that. So I would say I would tighten up that. I can't say and we did a whole series on that with some of the protests, and I think my own emotions were so involved in, because it seemed like every time we turned on CNN, every time we turned on any type of news, and definitely even getting through the election, that was a tough time. So I think just kind of dealing a lot more deeper on how to find ways to do, I say the self-care, but not just saying it, but giving more tangible ways of maintaining it in a healthier way in that regard. So I think that would have done
What a
differently.
great response.
Mhm.
What great responses.
That was a great
Meaningful
response.
and thoughtful. And it's just like the content you bring to us every week. Thought out, well thought. Marty, what a great approach there, because those of us that are communicators, especially communicating during that time when you are
Right.
emotionally impacted by something,
Right.
it is very difficult
Mhm.
to really separate your emotions from the fact that I have to deliver something tangible. But what I've discovered over time is that people want a little bit of that because it gets the heart pliable
Right.
to receive the seeds and the deposits
Right.
that you were making.
Right.
Speaking of which, it will be remiss of me to not call out the weekly acrostic or alliteration.
Come on.
Let's call out Marty Moore. Marty, let me give you Marty. Audience, you know I'm talking right. Marty, I have 4 things for you today, and it is push. Push. I want you to pause. Then I want you to understand. The S is space. Give yourself the space. And the H is happy. And you put them together. Pause, understand, space, and happy.
I feel like this is a roast instead of
No, it's great because it helps us to really bite size, and understand. the
Listen,
content
I'm
you
not
bring.
that smart, so I gotta do things I can remember.
So that's great. That's great. That's great. That's
I
great.
love that is funny.
So, you're not off the hook, baby. You're not off the hook.
Hello, darling.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not noticed, is my wife has switched studio locations twice. But the main thing that was consistent are her 2 African queens.
And those queens go with her.
Wherever she goes, they go. But that's not it right there, right? You have also seen the various hair lengths and styles over the years. She done had it natural, such as this, and beautiful.
Yes.
She's had it straightened. She's had the beach wave. She's had the braid. She's had the lock. She had a little bit. She's had the puff up top with the
That's
little
all right.
bit in it. She's had it all. And so we have seen the colors of your personality.
But on
we
my
have
launch
also
party, she
seen-
gave us the turban.
She and the
The
turban.
turban.
So she-
You gave me your best turban.
so
Yes,
much.
you did.
There are just so many things. And so what it is I say that because you all have brought your full self
Wow.
to the audience.
Wow.
And that is what makes Wake Up Well
That's right.
special.
That's
Here's
right.
my final 2 questions. The first one is going into next year,
Mhm.
what's your dream guest and why? That question is for both of you. We'll start with you, baby. What's your dream guest? Who is your dream guest and why?
Ooh, my dream guest. Oh, I gotta think about that for a minute.
I know who I would choose.
You go first.
Dr. Siri out of Los Angeles. And he is like one of my dream heroes of a therapist. And he has, and what he does, he talks to people. He's done therapy with DMX. He's done therapy with a lot of rappers. But what I love about him, he's not pretentious. He definitely speaks to the soul of a man.
Beautiful.
In there. And he's just so amazing that to have him on here to talk about us. He talks about how we are mind, body, and soul, but more importantly, how we can eat our way to health and how we can eat our way to mental well-being and mental wellness. And I might get down to not a full vegan, but maybe chicken and fish. But he talks about, I still like a good steak. And last night I had a good old pork chop. But y'all pray my strength in the Lord these last COVID ending days. But I love that he speaks about a lot of who we are as a people is a result of what we eat.
Wonderful.
And that's why I like Dr. Siri.
I love it. How about you, baby?
So it's so funny. I knew you would have someone because you're in the medical field, but I think the person that I would have would be Dr. Tony Atkins. And so many of you guys know him as the dancing doctor. So oftentimes he
Tag
works.
him.
He works with he works.
Excuse me, I know Dr. Tony.
You're kidding me!
I do know
You
Dr.
know the dancing doctor?
Yes, I helped him and his wife get married. He was one of my young adults at Friendship Baptist Church. And yes, I have his number in my. So, okay, I will. Dr. Tony.
You heard it here. It's happening.
That's why you gotta speak those things. You gotta say it. But
Dr. Tony, he is so
yes.
cool and so legit.
So
he and his wife.
He does so much work with children, and at children's hospitals.
Yes.
And I mean, these children are very sick.
Yes.
And it's just when you see him dancing with the children and the staff and the nurses,
Yes.
I can't imagine coming to work and being able to show up every day like he does and seeing what he sees. And I'm telling you every time, and of course I know it's social media. I know there's times where he's not
Right.
well, but I just have to say, even during COVID, I would go and I would watch his dances.
Right.
And I would just be like, it would give me hope, right? It would just jolt me. So Dr. Tony Atkins, that's who I would
I'll
have.
give Dr. Tony a call. Dr. Tony comes out of the military.
I love it.
Yes.
He's
yes,
absolutely
yes.
amazing.
I love it. All right, here's my final
love
question,
that.
and it's a one-word question. There are some of our audience and some who will be watching, and they want to step out and they want to do something. There's this dream, there's this idea, there's this goal, and you watching right now, this may be you. You all are standing here on the other side of 1 year, and this has become what you didn't necessarily expect it to be, and it's only the beginning.
Right.
Come
It's
on.
going to get bigger and better and more impactful, because that's the goal.
Yeah.
And so what would you say to our audience that's watching and joining us right now? One word that will motivate them to go. Just one word. What is that word? Let's start with you, Marty.
Oh, I have 2 words. But I'm
Just
going
one.
with Oh.
Can he elaborate on that word? though?
Nope.
Resiliency.
Love it. Somebody type that in the comment. Resiliency. How about you, baby?
My one word would be the word I use all the time is impact.
Impact. I love it.
Impact.
Well, let me say this to you all as I exit stage left, is I'm sure that I speak on behalf of the entire audience, and I also speak on behalf of every guest that you all have welcomed into this special, unique, impactful, resilient space that you've created. Is thank you for helping us to wake up and show up. And because you've helped us to wake up and show up, you've allowed us to have the courage and the audacity to speak up, to speak out, and to live And so as we go forward, we're going to continue to do that, and we're going to do it well. So thank you guys very much for having me.
you,
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Peace out and God bless.
Thank you, guys. So, I did see that as we were going through, there was a question very up at the beginning. I remember what it was, but he was asking, he said, congratulations. What is the story of how you two connected for this?
Oh, wow.
This is why I think community is so important.
Right.
Whether or not it's a community that you're still talking to all the time. But I think the way you treat people,
Right.
it really shows up when you need help.
Yes.
And so initially, Doc and I started this show. I want to say the show started on March 29th, 2020 was our very first show. And right after that show, I knew immediately that we needed to have someone with a mental health background so that we could kind of juggle and balance the medical part with the mental health part. I was at home. I had become a homeschool teacher to a second grader and a seventh grader.
Right.
I needed help. I
Right.
needed to figure this out. And so I knew it was, COVID was not just impacting us in a way and for health, but it was also because it had changed our lives.
Exactly.
And so I actually reached out
Right.
to my Facebook audience and I said, hey, I need a mental health professional. Who is it? And I did get a lot of people that responded, but me, I'm busy. I got a lot to do. So I was like, what's the first one? And the first one, and it was from Antonio Hunt. So
Thank you, Antonio.
Thank you so much. A mutual friend of my husband and I, and he also knows Marty.
Right.
And so I said, okay, let me look at Marty. I think I reached out to Marty.
Right.
I think we did have a talk though before the show.
Exactly.
And I was like,
She was vetting me, making sure I was all right. Yes.
yes. And so once I had the show, once we had that conversation, I knew I wanted to bring Marty in.
Yes.
And Marty, I don't know if you knew, but our first show was April 26, 2020.
Wow.
And so that's how
Look, there he is.
That's how we met one another.
I don't think he's been on the show since, has he?
Antonio. Thank you so much. Thank you. You created this.
Right.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity by putting
Right.
Marty's name in the hat. And he was quick on the draw because it literally is like I put it up. I think it was less than an hour and I had your name.
Wow. Wow.
And the rest is
It's history. Right. And little did I know, I was just coming on for one show. And little did I know that I would be a co-host in there. And she go, can you come back next week? I'm like, sure. Can you come back the next week? Sure. She goes, well, then you said, Doc and I had a conversation. We're just going to have you be a regular on here. I'm like, okay, I have nothing else to do at 4 o'clock on a Sunday. We're in COVID. Where am I going? So it has been an absolute joy and honor and pleasure. And looking
Thank
forward to
you.
many, many more years to come.
what did he say? Oh, I knew he was the guy for you, and y'all are great people. Love you all, and you all are doing an amazing job. Antonio, thank you so much.
Thank
We
you,
so
Antonio.
appreciate that.
Wow.
So, Marty, I want to play just a quick video.
Oh, no.
I think it kind of shows. It's very, very quick, but it really does show what
Right.
what life has been like over this year.
Right. We're having fun. Hang in there.
Uh-oh,
There it is.
I think it's going slow because. Oh. All right. I think it cut us off because there was one of the videos that was in there was when we did building healthy relationships.
Right.
So I looked back and we had almost 1,000 views on that
Wow.
particular video. And that video had John Henry
Yes.
as well as the Kilgores on.
Right.
And so I just want to thank you
That was
guys so
amazing
much.
time.
Yeah, we have had an amazing time.
Yes.
doing this.
Yes.
And so, Marty, I want to ask you, I know John kind of asked it already, but what were some of the not necessarily shows, but what were some of your favorite moments?
I think for me, the favorite moments was just meeting other guests and hearing their stories. You have really made me a lover of stories, because stories are the fabrics of people's lives. And too often we negate stories and where people have come from. And by understanding their story, you get to understand their mental health. You get to understand their dreams and goals. And I don't want to be, Lorraine Hansberry has that wonderful play, Raisin in the Sun. And too many of us have had our dreams and visions explode, not from a positive perspective, from a negative perspective, because it sat there and became a syrupy sap, as Langston Hughes says in his poem. But my hope and dream in meeting these people, that we have done something to help resurrect what might have been dead, to encourage that what might have slowed down, or to help accelerate that which is already in movement, to really show people that they can live and enjoy their best life, no matter what obstacles might be in front of them. That's just to make them stronger. So those moments for me have meant the most.
Yeah, I love that. I remember, you guys remember this particular episode, or you guys remember the time in the back. One of the things is we always meet about 30 minutes before the show, and we act up. So we probably should show some behind the scene footage soon. But I remember one day I was so tired. We get in the back and we're all on, and I'm like, hey, Marty, hey, Doug, hey, Daryl. You know how I am. Hello, darling. How are you? Like I'm boosting myself up because I'm tired.
Right.
And Doc is like, Portia, you look really tired. Literally, I gotta go on in like 30 minutes. Like I thought I had, did the concealer, and he was like, pretty but tired, And
Doc was always honest. That's what the people don't realize.
He was always honest, and I think those moments at
Yes.
6:30, we're putting the lights up,
Right.
turning the cameras on. Turning the computers on, getting on StreamYard, setting up what the agenda is going to be in the show flow.
Daryl yelling at me, telling me
yelling at
to
you.
do a
Daryl
hard drive
telling me
and
my lighting
get
is
off the-
terrible. You're too
Get off
low,
of
you're
Wi-Fi.
too high. It was those moments
Yes.
that if I could just get to that moment,
Right.
then I knew that we would have an amazing show. And so I
Right.
looked forward to that one moment where I got to turn my lights on, where I got to
Yes.
turn my microphone on.
Yes.
And I would say this to our audience: find the thing that turns it on.
That's good.
Sometimes it wasn't easy to do this show.
Mm-mm.
It was hard. I was tired. I
Mhm.
felt like I don't have anything to give this
Right.
week. I don't have any questions. I don't have this. But the thing is, I would turn that microphone on. And so I say to you, I know it's hard. I
Mhm.
know it's not always fun, but dreams, just because a lot of times we think, oh, if it's my dream or my vision, it's going to be easy. But I will tell you, find the thing that turns it on, whether it's when you pick up the pen,
Right.
whether it's when you pick up the book, whether it's when you look at your kids, find the thing that turns your dream on. And those are my moments.
Love that. Love that.
You two coming together save. I can't read that.
Okay, move so I can come out of that one.
She says, you two coming together saved my life for
Wow.
real.
There
I
you
am not lost out here. And that thanks goes to the both of you.
Wow.
You were keeping me lifted because you are for real.
Wow.
That's from Pamela. Thank you
Pamela.
so much, Pam. I appreciate that.
Thank you. And I've known Pam, and she is a trooper. And we shared this. You never know what impact you are going to have on someone else's life. And it doesn't matter if one is watching or 1,000,001. As long as you make a difference in someone else's life. Love you, Pam. Love you, Facebook and YouTube audience. We do this because Would we love to get $1 million behind it? Sure. But listen, we do this because we do love you. We love what we do. We know that it's a calling and a passion on our lives. And those weeks that we did not have it, or we took a week off, something didn't feel right. But we just want to encourage you, whatever that vision might be, whatever that dream is, do it. Because someone else's life could be predicated upon it. And I don't want to stand before God on that day and say, why didn't you do that? Because I want to make sure that now I'm going churchy. I want to hear him say, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Now enter into the joy of the Lord. So do what you've been called to do.
I love it. So my daddy, hey daddy, he was like, love you, Lemon. I love him so much. Daddy, I love you so much. You know, my parents show up, my sisters show up every week.
Mm-hmm.
Every week they're on, and they don't have to.
Right.
They see me, they hear me all the time. But when they show up, it does show me that the show really is
Right.
touching them.
Right.
So there are 2 people here in the studio audience, and they're gonna come up for a moment as well, because they have some words. So
First and
the
foremost,
first one is my mommy, Rena.
Hello, darling.
So she is the original Hello, darling.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Rena. I didn't know we were going to be up here, but I'm proud of both of them.
Thank you.
I mean, I just met Marty today, but the first time I saw you on the screen, I'm like, I like this guy.
Thank
He's a
you.
good guy, and I'm being honest.
I appreciate that.
And my baby over here, this is my first love, the first person I ever fell in love with, and all that she is doing now was already seen as a child.
Right.
She was going to be a first lady. She was going to be spiritual. And I just love her. I just do.
love you too, mommy.
You know, and that's pretty much all I can say, that I am so proud of you, darling.
Thank you, darling.
That's where you got it from.
So I don't know if I ever told it on this show, but I've definitely told it on the Wake Up and Show Up podcast and other places when I used to do live stream, is that darling was always a term of endearment in our home. So my mom would be like, yes, darling. Okay, darling. And she would say this, whether or not we were in trouble or not. She always referred that way. And so when I hear darling, what it really says is, you matter.
Wow.
You are not your mistakes. And so that is my term of endearment that I took, because that had always been something in our home. And so no matter what happened, she would always be like, yes, darling. What you doing, darling? How you doing, darling? So that's a term of endearment that I took from our home.
Well, that has a whole nother new meaning.
Yeah.
For me. So it's going to be used even more, darling.
And the next person is Valerie. Valerie, let me tell you, she cooks the best waffles and lobster.
Oh my
Let
God.
me tell you, Valerie is like a second mom to me as well. She's so sweet. Her and her husband take so good care of my family and just love us so much. So
And we love doing it. I just want to say congratulations. We are excited for you. My husband and I watch the show every week. And Marty, it was wonderful meeting you in person.
Likewise.
And I tell you, the information has impacted our lives.
Amen.
We sent in several questions, and I tell you, the answers came through and they were correct, and we did what was told. So I am so grateful. I truly am, because we had a lot of it in our family. So we are grateful, thankful, and thank God for y'all. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Absolutely
very
amazing.
much. I
Wow.
know.
I can't take anymore.
Listen, I can't take any more either. It's been absolutely incredible. You guys, thank you so very much for joining us, for being part for a whole year.
Yes.
Listen, let me tell you what would be awesome. If next year we can have a real live audience.
We're going to have a real
inviting
live
people out.
audience. We're going to have, you know, as soon as we get over this COVID, we're going to have a live audience at least
Yes.
once a quarter. Whether it's on the West Coast or the East Coast, down here downtown. We are going to have us a live show once a quarter. Somewhere Paula, we gonna come up there with you.
Paula, we're coming to Connecticut.
Yes, we don't mind.
Exactly.
We don't mind.
Exactly.
Because the word needs to go out.
Absolutely,
It does.
absolutely. This is incredible. You guys, I'm so excited. So next week is Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to all the amazing mothers who are holding it down.
And I'm excited because I have
Yes.
some special things prepared for next week. And so I want to make sure that you guys invite all the mothers that you know,
All right.
bring them on the show. We want to make sure that we celebrate every single mother. We want to celebrate that whether you are biological, whether you are a godmother, whether you are a spiritual mother,
That's
you are
right.
whoever you have mothered. Listen,
Right.
so many of us have. So we just want to say thank you so much, and join us next week. Marty, do you have any last words?
You know, I just want to say, you know what, Portia, this has been absolutely amazing. And we want to thank everyone for joining us, all the guests. I wish we could have every last one of you on. Eventually we will at some point in time. But this is just, you know, you never know what God has for you. And so I thank you for allowing me to join you, to partner. We took some pictures.
We got new branding.
We got new branding stuff.
photos.
Listen, 2021 and year 2 is going to be absolutely
Yes.
fantastic,
Yes.
dynamic. They're not ready because we got some new stuff we're not even sharing with you yet. It's still in beta mode, but when it's released.
Yes, when those, yes.
Woo! Listen, we're gonna be really ready for everything that's in store. So listen,
Absolutely.
we are so excited. So again, Portia, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Marty. You guys
Yes.
know we don't end any episode without this declaration. Waking up is automatic. Showing up is intentional. Today, I will show up.